Series racing is nothing new to motorsport and Amaroo Park in particular. However, the current Nissan Turbo series has enjoyed unparalleled credibility because of the drivers involved and the stakes, which are incredibly high. $25,000 in total prize money and a new Nissan Skyline. The drivers draw for the cars they will race and their starting positions at each round. If one Nissan is slightly better, well, the luck is spread around throughout the series. The competition got underway at Sydney's Amaroo Park earlier this year with writer racer Peter McKay charging from the front line to edge out a fast-finishing Alan Grice. Heat 2, a reverse grid, and Queensland's Dick Johnson was to take some stopping. There was plenty of traffic congestion, but Dick was just too quick. The series moved to Adelaide next, and the spectators were treated to some spectacular pitching and twitching at the end of the long straight. Nissan executives might have been all smiles with such a clean opening to the event, but Gary Rogers soon changed their expressions when he turret tested the 10 Turbo on the reverse camber approach to the bowl. To his and the car's credit, they motored on to the finish in the event, which was won by George Fury. Grice came back to take Heat 4, but at the end of the day, Bond had taken the series lead with consistency. Was the next stop for the one-make tournament, and Grice became the first back-to-back winner, taking Heat 5 and then turning in a blinder from the back in Heat 6. Open wheeler ace John Bowe led them to the flag, but Grice had the lead on the points table, 132 to Bowe's 125, Bond 122, and George Fury on 120. From Keilor, it was back to Sydney's Amaroo Park for the next round of the tournament, and once again it was local Alan Grice who was expected to dominate. However, Queensland's Dick Johnson sprung a surprise when he went to the lead in the first heat with John Bowe, Gary Rogers and George Fury in hot pursuit. Grice had it all to do from near the back of the field, but clawed his way into the top 5. The second heat saw the usual jockeying for positions in the opening lap before Colin Bond made his move for the lead. Jim Richards, slow to start in the series because of an unfortunate draw in the opening races, was at his competitive best at Amaroo Park. He sat in behind Bond and resisted every attempt by Gary Scott to improve his position. Grice once again had to do it the hard way through the traffic, but he displaced Steve Masterton in the final lap to finish a strong fourth. The Nissan door handle set last weekend returned to Adelaide International Raceway. The climate might have been cold, but the racing was just the opposite. Rainmaster Richards must have been praying for the clouds to open, but the web-footed Kiwi was equally at home in the dry. Len Seaton was the first casualty when he rode his car into an earth bank, and one Nissan was missing from the field. George Fury took Richards for the lead while Gary Rogers picked up third. It was a day of drama for the one-make series. Richards took Heat 2 over Fury and Scott, and the little cars moved to Amaroo Park. Start of Heat 2 of the Nissan Super Series. Of course, Heat 1 produced a few thrills this afternoon. Let's take a look at what happened when Alan Grice got a little aggressive on John Bowe coming down to Honda Corner. A whop in the door, or on the back guard, sends Bowe out in the direction of the photographers. Grice was able to pick it up and go on, and there's Alan Grice there. Inverted grid, of course, sees Jeff Portman off one, Masterton off the front row with him, then Seaton and Rogers in the second row, Bond and Johnson in the third, Richards and Scott in the fourth, Grice and McKay in the fifth, and Fury and John Bowe in the sixth.
Grice will have a bit of trouble winning it from back there this time.
Well, we'll see how good he is.
Yeah, and Grice leads the series too with 2:34 with now 10 seconds remaining prior to the start.
Now, this should be a good start. Jeff Portman and Steve Masterton on the front row. The flag is up. And it's down, and Masterton gets the best of it from Portman. Rogers moves up quickly. Then Johnson on the outside in car number 7 coming up very quickly indeed. And Colin Bond has also made a lightning start. Oh, one, it could have been Portman there with a spotted bother, or is it Masterton?
Masterton, Mr. Gear.
Mr. Gear, and it's gone from first to last over the top and dropping
Portman's
down.
in front.
into the Dunlop loop. Oh, there's number 3 upside down, and that is Peter McKay, but he is quite okay. He's hit the zebra tyres, conveniently positioned there to catch all Nissans. One Nissan is missing. I think I said that earlier.
Oh, God.
Into Dunlop loop.
There's how it happened.
He's got a touch from behind as well. From who? Well,
somebody's escaped there.
Well,
Very
John Bow that was, and Steve Masterton mixed up in there. That's amazing. Oh, no, it's all happening. John Bow goes out as a result of it. Is that Gary Rogers?
Gary Rogers, rather, yeah.
Yeah, car number 5. Well, that's, what, 3 down, 9 to go. John Bow, you kiss goodbye to $25,000 after that little exercise. And car number 9, Gary Rogers.
Well, there's 3 that have gone.
And car number 11, Steve Masterton, limping around as well. God, they're off left, right and centre. So,
Portman's in front.
Yep.
Colin Bond in second place.
Richards, I think, now up to 3rd as they head up Bitchapave Hill again.
We'll have to watch the debris coming around this section of the track.
So Portman drops down in there nicely indeed. The other driver was involved was Glenn Seaton, and the number 10 car, I think, that clipped the wall last time, but we'll pick up that for you a little later. There's the wreckage. I think man with cardiac arrest at the moment would have to be Fred Gibson, the Nissan team manager, who I think is ready to put his resignation in. Whoever devised the series. Jeff Portman looking pretty good out there. Bond in second, Richards 3rd, Grice is the next one through, and they were followed by Dick Johnson.
George Fury.
Not a huge split over them as they go down to the lake corner. Through the bend, Portman hanging on.
Portman, the twice Australian rally champion in 1981 and 2. And behind him a man who's also claimed that title before, Colin Bond. And so when you sit down and try and analyse this, I'd say that with Fury so far back in this one, and with Bond and Grice up here, and of course Grice doing battle with Richards, and Grice again looking good for the money at the end of this one. So Grice sneaks through on Richards, only just. Jim takes evasive action. And
Johnson in amongst those as well, wanting to pick up the pieces.
Well, he's had a bit of help, Grice, but he is up to 3rd.
Yes, he's made a good run to 3rd, put him on top with points, providing the stewards don't want to replay as Heat 1. So Grice makes it up to 3rd, back behind him, Richards is 4th and Johnson is 5th as they come through Mazda corner, down to the left-hander at Honda. Just looking at picking up the back wheels, and in particular car number 4, Alan Grice. Whether Grice can pull back any more spots from there, it will depend greatly on the pace being set at the front of the field here by Portman. Portman, Bond, Grice, Richards and Johnson. Seaton, who of course was involved in the smash, still continuing on in the race.
And of course with Fury in 6th spot in the race, we've got 3 rally champions in the top half dozen. That kind of experience will come in handy out here today, the way things are going.
Yeah, there's Bondy and Alan Grice right behind. Jim Richards getting plenty from Dick Johnson. There's Bond taking the rally championship in 71, 2 and 4. Fury in 77 and 80, and Portman in 81 and 82. So that just about covers the history of Australian rallying as they scathe by the wreckage at the top of the loop. Look at the way that Alan Grice punishes this poor little Nissan Pulsar. But the only way you can describe it, the front wheel folded under. Look at this, inside rear, off the deck by about 6 inches. Front right-hand guard all crumpled. And I'd say Alan Grice would be posting quickest lap time at the moment. In fact, I might try and get the watch on him.
Interesting you should say that, Neil, because in some of the shots you can notice, in fact, the first 3 cars going into the corners, you'll see that Grice hits the brake about 0.03 of a second later than the other 2, and thereby makes up that quarter of a car length on almost every sharp corner.
I noticed that with John Bow.
He didn't touch the brakes that time.
Used him as an anchor. There's Glenn Seaton looking for the Nissan repair tent.
It's good to see the thermo fan working.
He'll have to get in the waiting line.
He'll be first in. So Alan Grice has been the big mover again in Heat 2 this afternoon, still tailing Colin Bond as they go past the wrecks down near Valvoline corner. Portman still in front. I think this will be Portman's first race win of the series.
They'll think this is Christmas. He hasn't been sighted up until now.
Oh, here's Bond leaning on the back of Grice rather, on the back of Bond as they come out of Honda corner. going down towards the lake with about 1 1/4 laps still to go.
I can't wait to read the colourful description written by Peter McKay after this race meeting. That'll be a fun one.
Portman leads, Bond, Grice, Richards and Johnson. That's the order. They're coming in to take the signal with 1 lap to go. Now, can Grice pull one of his last lap charges out of the suitcase? Let's wait and see. Sits right in behind Bond. Is he going to make a run down the outside? Yes, right at the last moment, and try and take him over the top and see if he can race him down to the next corner. Bond hangs on. Grice now tucks down on the inside, wants to get the run out of this corner. Look at Johnson setting up for the run as well.
Oh,
watch out for the parked cars, boys. That was close.
Grice really is getting very willing, isn't he?
Look at Richards. Richards got the short back and sides about 3 laps ago. I don't think he's forgotten it yet. Down to Honda corner for the final time. Portman goes through. As they come out of the bend and go down towards the strap, is still continuing. Hands out the window.
Bond in second. Johnson's got up to third. He's got the best of Grice.
Whether or not he can hang on, Johnson, because that's where the action is. But Portman's going to come out of the last corner. Grice is making a run as well. So it'll be Portman across the wire, and he'll take it. Big cheers coming up from the crowd. Nissan executives have dropped off the railing. Bond takes second, Richards takes third, Grice is fourth, and Dick Johnson will take 5th place. Well, what a Nissan.
And shaken. Jeff, you thought rallying was rough and tough.
Yeah, I did. I wondered for a while there while there was no one out there behind me, but then I realised when I come around again, half the field was decimated.
I don't know whether, again, things happen so quickly out there, whether you were able to see the first lap incident over the top. Poor old Peter McKay, I can't wait to read his very colourful account of today's meeting.
I'm sure it'll be colourful. No, I didn't know anything about that until I came around and there the cars were.
Yeah, well, he had a little bit of a nudge and ended up over and up against those concrete-filled tyres. Not a nice place to be, but he's okay. It was really helter-skelter out there, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I'll be rushing home tonight to have a look at it on the telly, I think.
You've been a little bit back in the field in the rounds up to date. It was nice to see you holding pride of place for once.
Yeah, I thought that too myself. I thought you've been back there for long enough, and once you're out there, try and stay there.
Of course, Mr. Grice over here was very intent on not having things finished that way. You took the first heat today. You have to use a little bit of muscle to do it, though.
Oh, what a terrible thing to say.
Come on.
No, they're both good races. Unfortunate to see the damaged cars. There were the same sorts of damaged cars at Adelaide, which is only last week. And I think it should be said that the Nissan blokes that put the motor cars together in 1 week and got them here looking as good as they did, well, they surprised all of us. We really didn't think there'd be 12 cars here, but thank you very much on behalf of all the 12 drivers to the Nissan blokes for their great work.
You had to say that. I think you blokes are pulling the biggest con deal of all time on poor old Freddie Gibson.
Freddie who?
Listen, you not only win today's round overall, but you are now the overall leader in the series, and that $25,000 is looking very handy.
That's pleasant. I'm sure all my creditors heard it.